In the last video, I introduced you to the concept of cosplay, and not so much why people do it, but the observations I've made about them. They're an incredibly dedicated group. They'll walk through cold weather wearing very little just to show off their really amazing costume, and that's to be commended. And I also said that, they feel a lot more relaxed. I often see them more casual than I was expecting at these shows. They dressed up, but they weren't always in character, and sometimes it kind of mixed together. Uh, and then I also pointed out that it wasn't always that we tend to overestimate or we tend to not overlook, overshow the cosplayers. The majority of the people are not cosplayers. But today, I've decided to talk about the connections, some of the reasoning why people think that they need to get dressed or get dressed up. And the word connections means what are they trying to connect with? What are they when they do it? They aspire themselves to be this thing, and they want other people to aspire or to view them in that way. Uh, the meaning I have for this is my cousin was dressed in a little Supergirl shirt, and it had a little flag or a little cape, and this little boy just was on his dad's shoulders and was like, "It's a superhero! It's a superhero! Oh my gosh, it's a superhero! Hi, superhero!" And my cousin was just overwhelmed at this. She had never had it happen before, and she was just so amazed by it. And so this connection, where they're aspiring and where they want people to view them as this thing, and that's the connection. So the first thing is that they're not just characters. These are not characters, that they read in a book. This is something that they want to be. This is something that they wish to have in their life. They want a Black Panther in real world, and they're willing to dress as them to make a Black Panther in the world. This is Black Panther and Storm. They're a happily married couple, and this I think this couple is actually married, and they're trying to show this connection that they have with themselves and what they want the world to know about what they aspire for this world. And so it's not just characters. There's a meaning to there. There's a realness to there. 2 weeks from now, I'm going to talk about the religiosity of these characters, and you're totally going to see it. Another thing that they do is imagination. This little girl made up this character, and she did a little tail wiggle thing, and she made up the character, and it's just her best friend. And so it's not a character. It's not just this thing in her mind. She wants it to be real, and so she wants to show her imagination, and she wants people to go, "Oh, that's a great imagination," and this cuteness, this idea, this concept that you're making, we want it to be real with you. And so this imagination allows us to create these characters into our world from the things that we like. Another one is gods, and this is going to show up in religiosity, definitely. But when we view some of these characters, we don't view them as just human. We don't view them as, oh, that cute character over there. We view them in the same way that sometimes we view a god. And, it might be Thor, it might be Odin, it might not be God in the way you think of it, or think of him or her. It's gods within our video game realm, or if we were to meet them, we would be in awe and we would be amazed at them. And we would want them to do us favors, and we would just be amazed to be in their presence. And there are people who dress as these characters, and they want you to think of them as gods. Not Halo type gods, but I think this is a great example where these people have powers and they have control in their lives, and they can do these things, and they want people to view them in that way. So they are gods. In some cases, very literal gods. they will dress as Thor, and they want you to think of them as Thor. In quite a few religious plays or religious ceremonies, people will dress as the god to represent what they want for the world. And so we see the same thing here, where instead of, Zeus or Hera or, you know, whoever, they're dressed as characters from X-Men who they consider great and wonderful. And not only do they want them in this world, but they view them in a greater than them sense. And then there's aspirations. And there is a difference between a god and an aspiration. The aspiration is they want you to view them in this way. Not as gods, but as this other thing. These little old these women, just walked around and they made sure that their signs were in the correct order, and that they were organized correctly for the picture. They aspired for you to view them in the same way that you viewed the good witches from the story The Sleeping Beauty. They aspired for that. It's not whether or not they were gods. They wanted you to feel the comical love that they have, or just kind of the I kind of did that little head shake thing. I'm trying to explain this. Where you view their characters and you kind of enjoy their whimsy. And so they have this aspiration that you can view them in that way, and that you think of them in that way. And so they dress as these characters so that they can become this thing that they want to be. And I'm not going to show a picture because I think it best that I not do this, but some people, the connection they want for you to make is money. They want you to pay them. And it's a difficult subject because there are people who dress up and they may not like the character, but they dress up this way because they look like the character and they think that they can get money. And there are people who are professional cosplayers, and they are paid money to go to Comic-Cons and dress up because they can look really good. And I don't want you to think that this is evil. I'm an anthropologist who gets paid to go to these conventions and stuff, so I am not one to judge. But there are people who can take it far, and there are people who, it's become such a major thing for them that they start to go, okay, maybe I should make some money off of this. And so they do that. And this is difficult to explain to people. If you've never been to a Comic-Con, I had to learn to kind of avert my eyes a little bit because otherwise I'd be staring a lot. Some people want you to see them as gods. Some people, they have these aspirations, and then they add in this extra amount where they say, and I'm sexy, I'm good looking. You want to see me in this way. And, it makes them feel powerful and them feel, well, sexy. And there's nothing wrong with this. There is nothing wrong with wanting to feel that they are good looking. There's nothing wrong for, you wanting others to kind of look at you that way. They don't want you to view it in the wrong way. This is definitely not, them saying, I want you to touch me. I want you to make a sexual comment towards me. But they do want you to kind of see that they are sexy and that you're kind of blown back by their beauty. And that is a thing. So it's a difficult subject, and I honestly feel kind of tongue-tied. At one point, I wasn't looking at a cosplayer because, she was kind of attractive. And so when I finally saw her enough, I was like, oh, hey, we've got this thing. And she's like, you don't recognize me. I'm one of the minions. And it was entirely because, she looked pretty good, and I was trying not to bother her. And then I finally saw her face, and I was like, oh, I know you. But when I was at the show, it was something I had to learn to deal with. Was I just saw a lot of people dressed like this, and this was something that they were aspiring for. This connection that they wanted to have was sexy, and I had to learn how to kind of get used to it. And then afterwards, I kind of had a detox period where I was like, no, I don't need to see boobs. As true as it's a true statement, where I had to take a moment to kind of undo my mind on the matter so that I could be considerate of others. And that's the thing, is these people are going to go back to work and they are going to wear clothes. And this doesn't mean that everybody is trying to look sexy. They might be good looking, but they may not be trying to look sexy. And that's something you have to realize. This is just one of the many factors. And finally, there are... I couldn't think of the right word for it, but they want a connection, not just in the connection of, that character, but in the connection of their love of the subject. This is just people who randomly met and got all their pictures taken together because they found a connection between each other. Oh, you're dressed as Black Panther. I'm dressed as Dark Link. This is a cool connection. I think my favorite story from the show was I was talking to a map maker, not a map maker, geographer. Anyway, we were having this great conversation, and he dressed as the Brigadier General, the Brigadier, Lethbridge Stewart from Doctor Who, the old Doctor Who, and he was doing this great job, and he says he saw somebody dressed as Turlo, and this guy kind of looked at him, and the guy I was talking to walked over to this kid and went, Turlo? And then they had just kind of this connection where they became their characters, and they connected that way, where their love of the show connected them, and this connection allowed them to kind of take away this foreignness of each other because of their love of the subject. And while they were doing this, they were also becoming these characters that they loved. And suddenly, for just a moment, they were real. And not only real, they were those characters. And because of that connection, they love doing this at the show. So every single reason I've shown you, from sexy, from money, to aspirations as gods, they want... The people who dress up want more than just, I'm wearing a suit. It's they aspire to become greater. They view this as kind of becoming a person that they want to be. I have seen Disney princesses, they see a little boy or a little girl or a kid, and they become a Disney princess. And for that moment, that the child talking to them is talking to a Disney princess, and it just blows their mind. In the same way, my cousin had somebody yell out, "Hi, superhero," and she melted, because the reality is, my cousin loves Supergirl, and to be referenced with Supergirl was just one of the greatest moments of her life. So that's the thing that we see, is it's not just the connection, it's the sudden realization that people view you in that way, and they love that. So that's why they do it. The next video will be on the clans, or the groups within the cosplay group. And it actually becomes a bomb circle. The more willing they are to dress up is the way I'm going to call it. And I'm going to show you the bomb circle, and I'm going to edit it a bit. I need to work on it because I haven't quite gotten the circles correct yet, but I'll get to that. Also, as a little thing, I'm also writing essays on these same subjects for my blog, nativevideogamer.blogspot.com. So, go check that out, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye.